The event being held at Ghalager Estate today is a build-up, of course, and that's where we find SABC News economics reporter Katlego Legodi. Katlego is there for us. All systems go. That's what we've been hearing, Katlego. This gathering, of course, expected to touch on issues of energy security. That's what we've already heard at this council. Infrastructure, as well as the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. That's already been touched on. All these certainly important, especially energy for South Africa. Talk us through it.
Most definitely. A very good morning to you, Griselda, and to our viewers at home. You're right to say it's all systems go when we look at those high-level discussions that are underway here at the Ghalager Convention Center. Just dipping out of that Energy Council and the energy work stream that has been just talking about issues of energy security. You saw on the panel there, Minister Gwede Mantashe just talking about where South Africa is as we speak right now in terms of those well-needed interventions to mitigate against the energy situation or the challenges of energy that we have here at home. Of course, today we're expecting to see also Minister Ibrahim Patel, who's already arrived, who'll just give us an opening any moment from now. But I felt that we should bring in the chairperson of the BRICS Business Council. They're our host here today. I have with me Busi Mabuza, who joins us on the SABC to just give us a sense of how important is it that we have this forum or this council sitting here in the lead up to the main BRICS summit that will take place next week. Welcome to the SABC, man.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity. It's an absolutely exciting time that South Africa has had the privilege to host the BRICS nations. And as you know, we've invited our counterparts from the rest of the continent as well. For the first time, the BRICS nations are meeting since 2019. So in 4 years, we're meeting for the first time. But we're also meeting at a time when the geopolitical environment is changing. And in so many ways, there's a transition in the world towards a new world, be it on the energy front, be it on the technology front, and be it also in terms of the youth standing up and taking their place to make sure that we have a sustainable future as the world. I'm happy that South Africa is playing the lead in the conversations. You would have seen our guests have come in their numbers from the BRICS nations. We have guests from the African continent. This banner here represents the IATF. And we are in engagements that we believe are going to shape the future of the world for generations to come.
I mean, we know very well that these discussions started about 6 months ago, where you were just preparing as these work streams to ensure that whatever is discussed in the lead up to the main event really find meaning there. And we're here talking about a report that will be presented next week in Sandton. Maybe take us through the build-up. What are the conversations that have been had? We know very well that there are various work streams just more or less touted to just discuss issues of importance, especially where the economies of all of these nations in the BRICS bloc are concerned.
So, of course, South Africa took chairship at the beginning of January 2023, as was announced by our government. And the theme, if I may just remind our listeners, is BRICS and Africa, partnership for mutually accelerated growth, sustainable development, and inclusive multilateralism. We, as the BRICS Business Council, felt that the theme talked directly to matters of economic development, and we therefore embraced the theme and started engagements with our BRICS counterparts on that basis. What is absolutely key is to note that our conversations, of course, were continuing from the China chairship when they handed over. So some of the conversations were being enhanced and pursued going forward, and some conversations were new. Energy discussions were discussions that had been held for quite some time, and in this instance, we as South Africa felt that we must pivot and ensure that the engagements now start focusing on the supply deficit that you see on the continent. We, of course, as South Africa, are very mindful of our deficit because we have come from a time when we had enough supply to cover our demand. But the continent actually has a supply deficit, and we believe that there are energy solutions that can come to bear to address that deficit continent-wide in a manner that enables further industrialization in the continent. And our counterparts are keen at this investment opportunity, so they've come in their numbers and they've come very enthusiastically to come and find solutions with us.
A very attractive kind of environment, because we're hearing that other nations as well want to form part of this BRICS bloc, and they want to form part of these discussions at the business level and just economic level, and most of them are just keen looking at how great you guys have been doing as the BRICS Business Council. Let's just reflect on the energy situation, the energy issue that Minister Gwede Mantashe touched on. We're heading now to Minister Ibrahim Patel as well, who also take us through the trade fair in terms of opportunities that are available for trade in the country. We're hearing the minister saying that really it's all hands on deck where South Africa is concerned in terms of ensuring issues of energy security. What have been your impressions from these work streams so far?
So I'm very delighted, and those are just two of the ministers. We also have Minister Ghalager speaking at an infrastructure forum that is focusing on public-private partnerships in order to roll out infrastructure. We are in a continent that needs infrastructure in order for us to realize the African Continental Free Trade Area at the rate and the speed that we have an ambition for. So the discussions are absolutely exciting. And of course, the exhibition is showcasing South Africa's prowess in manufacturing. We are displaying the vehicles that are being manufactured in South Africa. That's a high technology sector. We're showcasing buses, so public transport vehicles that are being manufactured in South Africa. I saw transformers that are being manufactured in South Africa. These are parts of the showcase, and we are saying to BRICS partners, don't just come to the continent, don't just come to South Africa for the raw commodities. We also have the capability to manufacture, buy value-added goods. And let's keep the value here, let's keep the jobs here.
Busi Mabuza, thank you very much, for your time and everything of the best. I mean, really, it's been on all hands on deck in terms of what has been happening here, but the BRICS Business Council just laying the land just in the lead up to what is expected to happen next week. She said the Minister Ibrahim Patel is here, and in a short while we'll just be going into what he'll be presenting here. But I must say, high-level discussions underway. There's a report that will be compiled here that will be taken to the main forum, the summit that will take place at the Sandton Convention Center next week. Griselda?
Katlego, thank you very much indeed at the BRICS Business Council. The first day of it, quite a number of serious engagements there of infrastructure and energy. Energy in particular, South Africa will be looking to one of the challenges that we are grappling with as a country. Perhaps what kind of solutions would come out of that? Of course, this Business Council ahead of the main event, which is the BRICS Summit.